Hello, in this video I'm going to share with you some tips on how to use the Touch Skin Solution Concealer to brighten up around your under eyes. Now before we get into that, I do want to let you know that concealer can be used for all sorts of things. It can be used, of course, to brighten around your under eyes, which is what a lot of us need it for. It can be used to highlight certain areas of your face, the opposite of contouring. It also can be used to cover things that make us feel a little less confident, like age spots, acne, and scarring. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you how to brighten around your eyes. Now, that being said, when you are choosing a concealer color, you will want to use the same color as your foundation if your main purpose is to cover age spots, acne, or scarring. If you also want to be doing the brightening around your eyes, but you only want to get one color of concealer and you need it for all those other purposes, choose the concealer that is the same shade as your foundation. However, if your main concern is for brightening around the eyes, I do suggest that you go 1 to 2 shades lighter than your foundation shade, and that's what I've done today. Currently today, I am wearing the Liquid Touch Foundation, the Serum Plus Foundation in the shade Organza. So I've gone 1 shade lighter to the shade Scarlet to help brighten around my eyes. I also can use the same shade as my foundation. It works beautifully, but I find that this just adds a little bit of a lightening shade. Before you apply your concealer, we do want to make sure that you've taken care of your skin. You have nice, clean skin, and you have hydrated that skin with proper skincare. If you have darkness and if you have crepiness or any kind of dryness to your under eyes, please, please, please use an eye cream. We have a fantastic eye cream that really works wonders. You can allow that to sit into your skin for a little bit. You can also use something like the Uplift Beauty Oil to really help hydrate and work on the darkness under your eyes. Concealer is great, and this concealer in particular does have skincare built inside of it, but I will tell you, usually the issues that are around your eyes need to be specifically addressed also with skincare. This is going to help conceal it, and it does have skincare built inside, but honestly, you're gonna wanna do skincare first. So I've already washed my face, done my skincare, I primed my face, and I applied my foundation. When it comes to this kind of a concealer, it has a creamy consistency. You can apply this on top of a cream or a liquid product. You cannot apply this on top of a powder. So do all of your liquids and creams when it comes to your makeup first, and then you can put your powders on top. You can't do it the opposite order, or else it kind of gets kind of muddy. So for me, and for many of us, the darkness in our eyes is generally around this inner corner of our eye. So what I like to do is take the concealer. It has a beautiful applicator. I kind of scrape off what I don't need, and I really focus in that area where I need it the most. Now you can also see I have a lot of freckles and veins and discoloration on my upper eyelid. I like to get rid of that as well. With this, you can use your fingers, as long as they're clean. You can use a damp blending bud or the concealer end of your powder concealer brush to help apply that product. Right now, I'm just going to use my finger, as I honestly think we were born with some of the best tools on the planet, but you know, to each their own. Some people don't like to use their fingers, and that is okay. I'm gonna go very gently with whatever you use to spread this product. Remember that the skin around your eyes is the most delicate. It's really, really thin. It also doesn't have the same oil glands that the rest of our skin has, and that's why it often shows aging sooner. So it's thin, it's gonna show all of the things going on underneath, because let's be real, we've got veins, we've got blood, we've got all sorts of things going on underneath that skin, and because it's so thin, it really does show, and it does kind of dry up quicker. So that is why I love this concealer, because it has all of that beautiful hydrating and skincare aspects built inside of it. And I just kind of pat it until the tackiness is gone. It dries relatively quickly, which is awesome, so it's not going to bunch up as much inside your fine lines if that's a concern, but I do like to tap it or blend it until the tackiness is gone. Now, if you still have a little bit of a darkness area, you can kind of go in and do an extra little bit. I will tell you, there's a difference between darkness and texture. So this right here, that's the fold of my skin. That's more of a texture problem. So, you know, the physical aspect rather than a colorful aspect, but you can kind of go in and just do a little extra right there. So I focus on the inner corner. I even bring it along down the side of my nose. This will actually help kind of slim your nose down if you'd like. I bring it around here. So I focus on the inner corner and also this upper part of my cheekbone to help give a lift. And that's how I do the blending. So rather than just having a really big, bright circle, I'm just patting it on that upper cheekbone and bringing it up and back. This really adds a beautiful brightening lift to that whole face. Then after this, you do need to set it. So the concealer, as I said, it's a creamy consistency. And because of that, it does need either a setting spray or a setting powder on top. And there's a couple of different reasons why you might want to use one over the other. So the setting spray is fantastic if you are someone who has a lot of crepiness, some really, uneven texture, some bumps, a lot of fine lines, a lot of crow's feet. So what I do if I'm using setting spray is I either spray it all over my face, and then I use a damp blending bud to pat it all in, or what I'll do is I'll spray the damp blending bud right away and press it into my skin. I will say this method I have found sometimes picks up a little bit of the product. So if I do choose to use the setting spray thing, I might take a little bit extra of that concealer and kind of paint it on the tip of that damp blending bud. It already has some setting spray, and then I just lightly pounce and kind of go to town. Because when you use a sponge, a makeup sponge, even though it's damp, and by it being damp, it means it's going to pick up less product, it still will pick up a little bit. But the setting spray is going to act like a hairspray for your face. It's really going to lock that product in so it doesn't get all bunched up inside your fine line. So I'm just doing very, very gentle pouncing until that product feels nice and dry. So once again, this is my suggestion if you have fine lines, if you have crepiness, and if you have crow's feet. Doing this method is really going to lock that product in place, acting like a hairspray for your makeup. This is also a great tip to do if you have crepiness or fine lines on the rest of your skin. You can spray your whole face and take that damp blending bud and once again, just lightly pounce it until it's nicely melded into your skin. I find that it makes it look super, super natural. If, however, your biggest issue not only is the darkness, but the texture, that physical aspect of your under eyes, or if you have rather large pores, you may enjoy the look of having a translucent setting powder on top. So my translucent setting powder has this little kind of trampoline mesh to make sure that you don't get a ton of the product all over your tools. You can either use a brush or a blending bud, just kind of press it in there and it picks up a little bit of product. Some people actually cut open this mesh or take the top off. I don't like to put too much setting powder because my eyes are getting a little more mature and setting powder can be a little drying. So I like that there's this mesh so I don't take too much. So I'm just taking a dry blending bud and just pressing that on top. Or you can take a brush, tap it in. See, it picks up a little bit more when it's the brush, but that's okay. I just kind of run it along that mesh and I just lightly dust. There's gonna be a lot of people you may see online who do what's called baking. That is totally fine if people don't have more mature skin down there, or if they don't have large pores, large pores are fine. It's more the dryness, it's more the fine lines. Baking doesn't really work well when it comes to a lot of fine lines. So if that's your issue, I suggest taking a little bit of it, but what it does is it really diffuses the look of it. So if you do have the large pores, I do a little dusting of that, and it really helps kind of magically erase the look of the bag and the pores. This is also a great product to put all over your face, particularly in the oily or sweaty area. So if you have more of an oily composition, or if you get oily spots in your skin, putting this translucent setting powder is going to be an additional barrier so that way it won't break down your makeup. So I really, really like it for both of those reasons. So for me, I use both. I use both setting spray and translucent setting powder. If I had to choose one over the other, I would go for the translucent setting powder personally, as I find from my under eye bags, because I also have the physical aspect, not just the discoloration, this is what I'm going for. If you don't have that physical aspect issue, you can use the setting spray. I will say if something is of a dewy consistency, if it has a dewy finish, that will show texture a little more. Dewy sometimes looks great because it's super youthful, it's got a nice glow, but it will show your pores and your physical under eye bags a little bit because it catches the light. That's what the dewiness does, which can be great in some aspects, but also not great in others. So if you do like a dewy finish, the setting spray is going to be the best for you. If you have a lot of crepiness and fine lines, the setting spray might work, or the combination. And once again, if you have a lot of texture, or large pores in that area, the setting powder is great. But what this has now done is it locked my concealer in place. It's not going to get all messy inside my under eyes. I can even take my little ring fingers and just make sure it's all set. But I've now brightened under my eyes using a shade lighter than my foundation. Another thing that you can do with whatever is left over on that blending bud is I kind of go underneath my cheekbone right here, not on my cheekbone, but just a little bit underneath, just to get rid of some of the extra product, just in the area where people might have a beard. This helps make your contour area look a little sharper. You can also just dab it on your chin, on your forehead right here, and even down your nose. So those are the areas that people sometimes highlight to bring light to. And for me, I may not need to full out highlight, but just using whatever product is left over really makes a nice big difference. So this is how you use our amazing Skin Solution Concealer to really help when it comes to your under eyes. I hope that this video is useful to you. Let me know if you have any questions, or let the presenter who shared this video with you know, and we hope you have a great day. Thanks so much.